Jake Paul, it's yeah, he's a sportsman, YouTuber, yeah.
And sparring the big people is different than the 10-ounce gloves, so I was feeling his power a lot more. But it was a great experience. Like,
really, you know, it's hard to take somebody out when they won't cooperate. I mean, Jake Paul, he was running around like the road runner.
I didn't want Anthony Joshua to knock him out, if I'm honest with you. I thought, you've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I was shattered. You know, this guy, everything I thought.
Oleksandr Usyk rips Jake Paul in hospital after Anthony Joshua knockout, and the reaction is brutal. Usyk didn't hold it back, calling out Jake Paul's lack of readiness and exposing how completely outclassed he was. After Joshua's knockout, it's clear Jake wasn't prepared for the scale and intensity of elite boxing, and Usyk's comments only underline that harsh reality. The scene is raw, unfiltered, and shows exactly why Paul still has a long way to go if he wants to compete at the highest level.
This guy world champion, not 1 year, 3, 5. This is guy bronze medalist for Olympic Games, Beijing.
Jake Paul admitted it himself. Anthony Joshua's power isn't just seen, it's felt. Even knowing what was coming, getting hit by a real heavyweight left him shocked, sprawled on the canvas, and fully aware of the skill gap. Soon, this wasn't just a punch to the jaw, it was a punch to reality, proving Jake still has a long way to go in the pro ranks. His surprise shows the brutal truth about facing elite-level fighters.
Spot.
yeah.
And he hit you in the face, and not only did you not get knocked out, you dropped and said, wow.
I was like, wow, that was nice. I was on the ground, I was like, that was a good shot.
Dude, did he surprise you with his power?
No, to be honest, no, but I mean, he surprised me.
Jake Paul laid it all bare. This was a mental war as much as a physical one. Joshua's presence alone, his size, and his relentless big shots created an impossible environment for Jake. Once the blows landed, it wasn't just his body taking damage, it was his confidence, his rhythm, and his entire game plan collapsing. This clip perfectly highlights why stepping into the ring with an elite heavyweight is an entirely different level.
It was just mental.
Really?
It was just like him imposing his will on me and being massive and the big shots landing. And then, yeah, it pretty much all goes downhill from there.
Duke McKenzie exposes the brutal reality. Jake Paul simply couldn't handle Joshua's size, power, or jab. Falling without being hit shows how physically and mentally overwhelmed he was. Every attempt to get close failed, proving that Joshua's dominance isn't just skill, it's sheer presence. Paul was outclassed in every sense, from power to psychology.
To the floor, so once or twice he fell to the floor without being hit, because Anthony Joshua was just so much bigger than him, and he couldn't cope with anything really. Couldn't cope with Anthony Joshua's jab. He couldn't cope with the size difference. He couldn't cope ultimately with the power.
Johnny Nelson emphasizes the cultural impact. Joshua is now a global superstar, while Jake Paul brought curiosity and hype. Yet, this fight revealed the reality. Fame doesn't equal skill. Joshua dominated every aspect, exposing Paul's limits. Fans watched in disbelief as hype collided with true professional ability, proving celebrity status can't replace elite boxing.
Joshua, now people know who Anthony Joshua is over in America on a massive scale.
Carl Froch doesn't hold back. This wasn't a fight, it was a spectacle. Joshua dominated despite 15 months out, while Jake Paul's inexperience was brutally exposed. Froch calls it a d'assaut, showing how dangerous it is for a celebrity to face a true champion. Technique, timing, and skill crushed hype, leaving Paul outmatched entirely.
But last night wasn't boxing. It was Anthony Joshua following him. I mean, he's been out of the ring 15 months, AJ, and Jake Paul can't fight. But there's no way on this earth should Jake Paul have been in with a former two-time heavyweight champion. It was a joke. It was an absolute...
Eddie Hearn highlights Joshua's dominance from the very first round. Hitting Jake flush multiple times with zero reaction underscores the massive skill gap. Calling it an abomination shows how one-sided it was. Joshua's power, technique, and resilience made him untouchable, proving the #1 heavyweight isn't just a title, it's a level Jake Paul can't reach. Usher.
I hit him 4 or 5 times early in the first round, flush, didn't even flinch. You see that tonight? That was an absolute abomination, if that is even a word, because that is a monster. The #1 heavyweight in the world.
Carl Froch delivers a scathing verdict on Jake Paul's performance, cutting through any hype or excuses. He highlights the absurdity of putting an inexperienced fighter in the ring with a former 2-time heavyweight champion. Froch calls it a clown world and an absolute charade, underlining that Paul's lack of skill, preparation, and experience made the fight dangerous and embarrassing. This isn't just criticism. It's a warning about what happens when social media fame meets real professional boxing. Froch's blunt assessment reinforces the gap between hype and reality, making it clear that Jake Paul shouldn't be allowed in the pro ranks at this level.
To say, look, Fabio Wardley now has won the fight fair and square, because that's the decision. That's the referee's final decision. Wardley wins the fight. It is now mandatory for Oleksandr Usyk. What is he going to do against Oleksandr Usyk? Where do we go from here? Oleksandr Usyk.
Joe Rogan's reaction is pure shock and respect, capturing the moment Anthony Joshua landed a knockout so devastating it left even seasoned observers speechless. Standing up instinctively, Rogan emphasizes the absolute power and precision behind the punch, calling it one of the greatest knockouts ever. His reaction shows how Joshua's technique, timing, and sheer force created a moment that transcends hype, proving the difference between a celebrity fighter and a true heavyweight. Rogan's all reinforces that this was more than just a win, it was a statement to the boxing world and a lesson on the consequences of underestimating elite fighters.
I say to this day, and I do it based on my reaction. Obviously, this is personal. I say it's the greatest knockout of all time. First time I ever stood up, I couldn't sit down. I was standing up. I was just like, oh!
I saw that. I saw you stand up. That's the first time I see it.
It was just.
Mike Tyson highlights Anthony Joshua's elite technique, showing that his knockout power isn't just brute force, it's precision and skill. Joshua doesn't need to overextend or telegraph punches. He uses timing, distance, and accuracy to maximize impact. Tyson's insight explains why Jake Paul, despite being tough, never stood a chance. Joshua's ability to control the fight while conserving energy proves his dominance isn't luck, it's mastery. This clip demonstrates that elite boxing requires more than strength. It's about strategy, form, and understanding distance, and Paul was simply unprepared to deal with that level of technical brilliance.
I want him to throw the punches through the guy, not after hit the guy, just boom, not with the full force. So I was showing him how to throw the full force without bringing your hand way back and throwing the punch.
Wade Playmay nails the key takeaway. Jake Paul discovered the hard truth. There are levels to boxing that can't be bypassed with hype or social media fame. Joshua didn't need to perform perfectly, just executed the fundamentals flawlessly, defending his legacy and demonstrating elite skill. Paul was exposed for what he is, a novice unready for world-class competition. Wade emphasizes that the fight was a lesson in discipline, technique, and preparation, showing that even a popular figure can be outclassed if they underestimate the sport. Joshua's victory was as much about teaching a lesson as it was about winning.
Because what just happened, what you just saw was, yes, Jake Paul finding out there's levels to this game. Yes, Anthony Joshua not having the greatest performance of all time, but him doing exactly what he had to do, what he needed to do for boxing, what he needed to do for himself.
Logan Paul nails one of the most important takeaways, the sheer toughness required to step in with Anthony Joshua. Despite rolling an ankle and breaking his jaw, Jake Paul's determination to keep fighting is almost unthinkable for most people. Logan emphasizes that surviving even a single round against a world-class heavyweight is a feat of bravery, let alone enduring multiple rounds. This commentary highlights the mental and physical resilience needed in elite boxing, something Paul displayed even while clearly outmatched. Beyond skill gaps and experience, the courage to withstand punishment, maintain composure, and push forward under extreme pressure shows a level of heart that can't be taught. Logan's perspective underscores the respect Jake deserves for his grit while reinforcing the brutal truth. Fighting one of the best heavyweights on the planet exposes limits, and surviving that storm is an achievement in itself.
AJ, in my opinion, he won 4 of them. People will argue that. He at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet, who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 60.
Dave Allen cuts through the hype and calls it like it is, a one-sided mismatch from start to finish. He acknowledges Jake Paul's fitness and cleverness, which is commendable, but the reality is the fight highlighted just how far Paul is from elite-level boxing. Allen's analysis is crucial. Stamina and cleverness can only carry you so far against a world-class heavyweight. The fight's outcome was inevitable. Joshua's power, reach, and experience dominated every moment. Even so, Allen notes that Paul has potential for growth. The "a good journey" comment is a nod to the possibility that with proper training, experience, and exposure, Paul could become a more legitimate fighter. This balanced perspective respects the effort while exposing the glaring skill gap between celebrity fighters and seasoned champions.
But the fight was, it weren't a fight, was it? It was really, really one-sided. Jake Paul, yeah, I've got to give him credit really, because he's super fit. He's pretty clever really. Like, he'd make a good, a good journey.
Ariel Helwani captures the sheer fear Joshua inspired inside the ring. Every punch was a reminder of the gap between Jake Paul and a world-class heavyweight with reach, power, and technical skill stacked against him. Helwani's winces reflect what millions of viewers felt watching live. Joshua's punches carry both devastating force and precision. The unpredictability of a knockout in any moment added tension and drama, highlighting the psychological dominance Joshua maintained throughout. Even in the early rounds, Paul's survival mindset was tested to the limit. Ariel emphasizes that elite boxing is as much about imposing presence and power as it is about skill. The fight demonstrated that one punch delivered with perfect technique can dictate the pace and outcome of a match, leaving the underdog constantly under pressure and scrambling for survival.
And every time he threw a punch, I like winced, because he's a big man and he's an incredible boxer and he's still in his prime, and he's got a very long reach and he's got a lot of power in that right hand, and that left hook is terrifying as well, and so I thought it could end.
Duke McKenzie lays bare the reality. Jake Paul entered the ring with a survival plan, fully aware he couldn't outbox Anthony Joshua. This mindset dictated every movement, strategy, and reaction during the fight. Instead of offense, Paul focused on evasion, defense, and minimizing punishment. Like a thief in the night, moving just enough to avoid devastating blows. McKenzie emphasizes how critical mental approach is in boxing. Recognizing limits and survival instincts can prevent catastrophe, but it also exposes gaps in skill, confidence, and adaptability. While Paul's courage is undeniable, the clip underscores how elite fighters like Joshua can force even the bravest opponents into purely defensive roles, highlighting the unbridgeable gap between celebrity fighters and world-class heavyweights.
Jake Paul knew exactly what his tactics would be going into that fight. He was in there just to survive. He wasn't in there to win. He didn't even try to win. He couldn't win. So when you know in your mindset, you know in your mind's like, I can't win that fight. What do? I've got to survive. How do I survive? I've got to run.
Pain Game highlights Jake Paul's defensive approach in stark detail. The strategy wasn't just about movement. It was a survival blueprint. Run when necessary, clinch and hold to avoid power shots, and occasionally drop to avoid takedown scenarios. This illustrates the extreme measures required against an elite opponent like Joshua. While some might criticize this as cowardice, it also demonstrates strategic thinking under pressure. Paul understood the gap in experience and skill and prioritized avoiding catastrophic damage. Every defensive maneuver reinforced how dominant Joshua was and how far Paul still has to go to compete at the highest level. The clip underscores that surviving in elite boxing often requires more mental calculation than physical output, and Paul's adaptation reflects the harsh reality of facing one of the best heavyweights alive.
He didn't just run, but generally, you know, the game plan was to run a lot, hold whenever he had to. He dropped his knees for a fucking takedown there.
The Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight has left the boxing world buzzing, and the aftermath is just as explosive. From every punch to the psychological battle, Joshua proved why he's the #1 heavyweight in the world, while Jake Paul learned firsthand that fame and hype can't replace elite skill. Analysts, legends, and fans alike have weighed in, exposing the gap between a celebrity fighter and a true champion. The lessons are clear. Survival, toughness, and strategy matter, but so does experience and precision. This fight wasn't just a victory, it was a statement, a reminder of the levels in professional boxing that only the best can reach. Now, we want to hear from you. Who impressed you the most? Joshua with his dominance, or Paul with his courage under fire? Comment below, share your thoughts, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay updated on every shocking moment in the boxing world.